one amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Megamorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. Megamorphs number 2, in the Time of Dinosaurs.
Hello and welcome to the Dork-Bajir Chronicles, a Phantomorph podcast where we read through the Animorph series, one book at a time, and talk about it every week. Today, we'll be talking about Megamorphs number 2, in the Time of Dinosaurs. Oh god, that title is so bad. In the Time of Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
My name is Mikhail, the host.
My name is Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Braden, and you know what? I can't keep it in anymore, guys. I'm that kid from that old Canadian PSA who's like, I do animal sounds. Here's a T-Rex. That was me.
I
coming
never
out
saw this
of my
PSA,
shell.
but then again,
It's
I
very
don't live
good.
in Canada, so that makes sense.
Before we get started with our summary, we have one piece of Phantom Mail I want to get to.
Ooh, yeah! Ooh, yeah!
This is from Dane Kelly, who posted on our Facebook page, Phantomorphs the Dork-Bajir Chronicles, a lovely callback to Megamorphs number 1. It is, I don't think that they created this themselves.
No, I think they found it, they said.
Yeah. So you guys can check that out. It is a very high quality MS Paint level Andalite with a Velik kind of cloud floating in the sky and a bear bursting out of a burning building.
It's beautiful.
It is excellent. It is beautiful. So thank you, Dane.
I love looking
Appreciate
at those
it.
terrible 7 fingers. Because Andalites have 7 fingers, and it's freaking me out.
Yeah, it looks like they just shoved more on for the sake of shoving more on.
It looks
That's
like a
pretty good.
mole nose of a star-nosed mole. Call back to last week's episode, Life in the Gardens.
callback.
Check it out.
Yeah.
All right. This is a long one, so we're going to have to settle in for the plot breakdown by yours
All right.
truly.
Give it to me.
There's no goof this time because there's just a shitload of plot that they have to shove into this book.
Yeah,
really.
it's not really an opening goof.
No, the goof is that Marco jokes about how he has to be the one who sees the news article about the nuclear sub that
And he has
malfunctioned.
to carry a bunch of stuff to his dad before he can...
Yeah,
That's a bit of a goof.
Yeah. Okay, I can't remember what happens with the nuclear sub. Does it like break down or something, or they just
Yeah, it
found
breaks
and
down.
was
They don't
there?
know. They don't know where it is. It's like stuck somewhere, and it's sending out distress
Right.
calls, but they can't find it, and it's got a bunch of nukes on it. So they're like, "Fuck, we gotta
Right.
find it."
So I don't actually think, is that actually what nuclear submarine means? That it carries nuclear warheads,
Yes.
Braden?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not powered by nuclear power,
No.
because that's what I thought it was.
Oh my
Oh God.
Cool.
No.
How
Oh, that would be-
embarrassing!
That would go
I don't know
so
everything.
wrong so quickly.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, so I'm an idiot. Confirmed. They morph dolphins to check it out. They find it essentially, but they see a bunch of scientists who are somehow confirmed as not being Yeerks.
Yeah, they
somehow.
kind of like put a big gamble on that.
Because they push and pull a female scientist in scuba gear towards the nuclear sub to be like, look, here it is. But then they hear, they hear an alarm?
What do you
want
to bet that scientist was scared shitless that they
About
were
the
going to a
dolphin rape
dolphin
cave.
cave?
There was a brown trail of liquid coming behind her as they
No,
pushed her.
as far as I know, everything stays inside the wetsuit, and they wash it out afterwards. That's what I've heard.
Oh, that doesn't sound right, but I believe it for gross reasons. Anyways, doesn't it like there's an alarm or something that goes off?
No, I think they find it, and then
forgot this part.
everybody, they get like a little bus that comes to get everybody off the nuke, and then everyone starts leaving really fast. And the Animorphs are like, shit, maybe we should leave really fast too.
I mean, you mean like a submarine bus?
Yeah, like a submarine bus.
Okay, anyways, the point is that the nuclear sub is going to blow up, and they kind of understand that.
Yeah.
So it blows up, there's a giant, or supposedly, and there's a giant flash of light and heat and whatever.
Which is
and
odd, actually very odd. I want to know how those nukes actually went off, because warheads are typically pretty stable.
I mean,
Like,
it was
also,
the 90s,
I don't
which
think
was
they went off.
It was famously
I don't think they went off.
unstable.
No?
I think they, like, something malfunctioned with the fuel. Because, like, even the fuel inside of these things is, like, half as dangerous as the nuke itself.
Yeah,
right?
that's why they were so worried about getting the guys out, because I think that's why it got stuck, was because it was malfunctioning.
Right. So, anyways, the point is, something went wrong. There was a flash of light, and they get Sario ripped into the past. It's a little frustrating because they're like, they get chased by, God damn it. We'll have Scotty on next week to remind us the names of all these animals. But
They got chased by
it's the-
Loch Ness monsters.
It's the, yeah, essentially it's the underwater dinosaurs.
Elasmosaurus?
Yeah, that
I
sounds
think
right.
so. I think so. You know,
The ones
okay,
with
you know
the
what's stupid as a
eyes.
kid? Because as we all know, I read fast. But like as
Yeah,
a kid,
yeah.
I always got it mixed up, and I thought it was the Elasmosaurus. I thought it was the Nessie guys that ate Tobias and Rachel. Spoiler alert: they get et. No, it's actually this other like fishy crocodile that eats them.
Chronosaur.
Yes. Anyways, they take way too long to figure out that they're in the land of dinosaurs. But the critical thing that happens for the first half of the book is that during this encounter with the Chronosaur and all that stuff, Tobias and Rachel actually get eaten by, is it a pterodactyl? It's a flying dinosaur.
They
No,
get eaten by the
Pteranodon?
No,
Chronosaur.
it's a water
No,
dinosaur.
it's the water
Chronosaur.
dinosaur. It's the Chronosaur. We just said this.
Oh, I
The
misunderstood that
Pteranodon
whole part.
comes
Okay.
It's
It's like
fucking
they're
nasty.
being
Real talk.
chased by
I'm putting
Loch
all
Ness
my cards.
monster.
I'm putting all my cards on the table. I read this all last night, and I started reading at like 10 p.m.
Oh my god. Speed read.
Okay,
No,
I
say-
can read
so-
really fast. So
But you're not.
I'm just
me.
saying.
So the
But I
whole
forget a lot of
setup
this.
is they get chased by Loch Ness monster, and the two Loch Ness monsters start fighting over who gets to eat them, and then out of nowhere, this big, huge Chronosaur, which is like a crocodile but who's a fish, comes and eats Tobias, and then Rachel
Okay.
jumps into his mouth to save her love because she
Okay,
loves
now I remember.
him.
Yes, because this is where the party splits up. So
Yeah.
at one point, or for about half the book, honestly, there's Rachel and Tobias is one group, and then the rest of them is the other group. So I'm just going to describe the Rachel and Tobias story up to the point where they meet up again. So they are stuck in the Chronosaur's belly. They're like, what the fuck do we do? And the author describes acid eating their body, like, in the
Yeah,
most
it's
disturbing
horrific.
way. They morph out of dolphin back into their original morphs, which is horrifying to think of, like, Tobias's feathers getting melted by the stomach acid. And then Rachel starts to morph into bear, and essentially, like, this also questionable, but she punctures the lung of the Chronosaur, and that lets them breathe for a second. And then she tears her way out of the Chronosaur, essentially.
Yeah,
Right?
it's yeah.
It's pretty intense. I mean, it's not impossible. It's just like
Yeah.
you can't see anything. How would you even fucking know where the lungs are? It's not breathing in the same way that mammals breathe.
She seemed to describe. Well, she seemed to describe like some sort of out of body experience where she not only saw herself but pockets of air, but she saw from outside of her body and the Chronosaurs. She saw where the lungs were, where the pockets
Yeah.
of air were.
I feel like
for
it
her
was
to breathe.
just the Elemist fucking with them again. I feel like
Maybe.
I think
any
it-
plot holes, because they've invented the Elemist, they can just wipe them away with
Can
like,
be
oh yeah,
just
the Elemist
filled
did it.
by the Elemist's
I
weird
think-
elfy dick.
I think it was more like adrenaline lucidity, where it's like you can process a million logical
Yeah.
steps in your brain way faster than if you weren't pumped full of adrenaline. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it worked for her,
God.
so
It was
why not,
so
right?
like the absolutely crazy description of getting digested was just
Yeah.
fucked up.
It was pretty fucked up. I
Ah,
100%
it's just
agree.
fucking nasty.
Anyways, so they get out. They find out pretty quickly that morphing back and forth doesn't actually heal you anymore. So Tobias's wing is broken. Also, they don't describe it, but wouldn't his feathers be quite like not charred, but like
Charred and
dissolving?
melted, for sure.
No, they do.
Yeah.
They say his tail feathers, at least, are pretty fucked up.
Okay. Whatever, that's a small detail. So she like sets his arm because his wing broke.
Which is also, this
and
is
he
the thing
can't
that
morph
doesn't
back
make
out of
sense,
it.
and it's literally only because the authors didn't want to have their groups meet up too fast. They wanted to be like, oh, Tobias can't fly, so he can't find them. And it's like, okay.
Did it ever
is-
explain why morphing
No.
didn't?
No. It
heal
never
them again?
explains why, except
Does
maybe
this
that it's like this
continue
is.
from here on
I mean,
out?
like Rachel's logic is that whenever a morph is hurt, you can morph back to your original body and it's fine.
Yeah.
So maybe it's some weird logic that because this is Tobias's original body, it's gonna stay injured forever, just like Rachel's ears are always pierced. But that doesn't make any sense because you do it from DNA. Realistically, you should be healed.
And there's a lot
Yeah.
of things that don't make sense other
But
than
wait,
like
does this-
this is a plot device.
Does this continuously happen again from here on out with
No.
Tobias?
As far
only?
as I remember,
No.
no. This is the only time this happens.
Okay, so this is just like some Sario Rip shit that they needed
Yes.
to
Yes.
make up to keep the.
If you are
stakes high.
confused and feel cheated, don't worry. Everyone thinks that's dumb, I think.
Okay.
Because it's like later in the book, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't
Like,
even
he
matter.
just gets
It doesn't
healed.
even matter
Yeah,
at all. It's a nothing
okay.
thing.
Anyways, we're jumping ahead. So they essentially wander around. They see some smoke, which they can figure is probably the rest of the crew. So they want to move that way. But on the way, they see some. Oh my god, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. It's
I say Deinonychus, but I think I've also
Deinonychus.
heard Deinonychus.
Yeah.
Deinonychus. Anyways, it's like what we think of as like velociraptors. It's kind of essentially that. There's a bunch of them and they're killing or planning on killing Triceratops. It's a herbivore.
I think it's Triceratops.
Anyways, they see Tobias and Rachel and they're like, nah, easier to kill. So they run after Tobias and Rachel, and Tobias is like, toss me. And Rachel
Toss
throws
me.
him
Sorry,
up,
what?
and he like, I
Just
can
like
only
it's
assume.
it's a Lord of the Rings reference, Brayden. Come on.
God,
Oh, right.
he
Come
hasn't
Come on, we're
read
talking
it
about
or seen the
Animorphs.
movies.
Obviously, we're going to reference Lord of the Rings.
He grabs, I'm assuming in a hilarious fashion, a branch, and I can assume he's like upside down.
Oh
and he's
my God,
hanging,
we can
like,
hope.
with his talons. Anyways, Rachel runs off and morphs bear, but the narrative follows Tobias at this point, and he drops down on top of Deinonychus, one of them, and acquires it, essentially, right? We hop back to Rachel. She's facing off against everybody. Tobias comes in and is like taken over by the morph, like his
Yeah.
brain is taken over, and he like slashes her in the chest. She's like, "What the fuck?" When she finds out it's Tobias. Tobias then faces down the leader of the Deinonychus group, kills him, and they essentially get away that way.
They don't actually
It's a
show
little
them getting
anticlimactic.
away because like
No, they
Tobias'
just kind of, like, say that in
raptor
an afterthought.
fights the leader raptor for dominance of the pack, and
When he's
then
still, like, in
Rachel
morph
has
brain.
to like talk him down. And it's actually it's a real sad scene that I think we should talk about in our OTP alert because I think this really sets Rach Bias is dead.
Tobachel.
Tobachel is dead. Yes.
No! Long live Tobachel.
Anyways, we can definitely talk about that. There's lots of that in this book.
Oh yeah.
Because there's so much shit. There's so much more shit that happens after. Rachel and Tobias then encounter, as Deinonychus, they encounter
A Spinosaurus.
yeah, that's all irrelevant for the plot, really. The next thing that happens that's important is they encounter something called the Nesk, which is actually, if you've ever seen that episode of Rick and Morty where they do that team of superheroes.
Yeah.
What is it?
The worst one.
Yeah, anyways, there's a character on there called Million Ants, and he's just a million ants in the shape of a human, basically. It's that's exactly what I was picturing. So this thing, like,
It's horrifying.
it
It's the
it
stuff
shoots a
with nightmares.
giant dinosaur with this gun it has to make the dinosaur go unconscious, and it's like, that could happen to you. Who the fuck are you? And then they basically, I think Rachel swipes at him,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
explodes into a million ants. It's like, wow, that was really fucked up, and they run away.
They run away, and then they're starting to chase them in their spaceships.
Yes. The Nesk are chasing them in their spaceships, which apparently now there's just spaceships in the dinosaur world. Like, the dinosaurs weren't enough. We had to have aliens,
And
too.
have aliens,
Not
too.
It was
yeah,
pretty sweet.
It was actually pretty good. So anyways, they're running away from the spaceships. They jump off this cliff.
That's
and
when they
this is
hold on to,
essentially
like,
where,
the pteranodons. They grab onto them to, like, hang glide.
But this is essentially where they meet up back with the rest of the group. So I'm going to talk about what they did before this moment. So the rest of the group, after they kind of successfully escape from the water monsters, they morph out. Axe is in his Andalite morph, because at this point they're like, well, probably not that much danger of being seen. They get spotted by a T-Rex who's trying to kill what I can assume is like a Brontosaurus, but it's not called Brontosaurus. It's called something else.
It's some kind of long neck dinosaur.
Don't let Scotty listen to this because he's gonna be so mad.
He's gonna be so upset with us.
Yeah.
We'll make
Scotty
it up next
will
week.
shoot us with the gun he always carries.
Peek behind the kimono. Scotty is our dino expert, and he'll be following us, or joining us, next week. He is following me right now, like all the time. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
So they run from the T-Rex, who spots them and is like,
With
"Yeah, I'm
his
gonna fuck you
gun.
up." Yeah, and this is from Marco's perspective, which is perfect because it's just like he's so meek when he's being chased, I find. So I thought it was hilarious. He runs away, tries to morph a bird while the T-Rex is distracted by Marco. Axe does some, I can only assume, crazy Andalite tail shit because the
It's like
T-Rex
Andalite
dies.
Kung Fu. Yeah.
Yeah, although the T-Rex does knock Axe like 50 feet away with its head before it dies.
It's sick shit.
Yeah, it's pretty.
A really,
it's actually
there's
kind of
some
like
really
amazing.
good, like dangerous fight scenes here.
So me and Brayden on the episode that you weren't here for last time, number 18, Tessa,
Yes.
when we became best friends and decided
Yeah,
to
and you were
form a
gonna
blood
cut me out
pact.
of the pod. I get it.
We talked a lot about alien like fights and just like how that works. And to
Martial
me,
arts.
like I totally wanted to see more Andalite v Dinosaur fights.
Fuck yes.
Oh, but anyways, that's another subject entirely.
That's for
So
your
when-
fan fiction, Mikhail.
Oh yeah, big time. So they cut up this T-Rex, Axe cuts up the T-Rex. They make, very hilariously, they make shoes out of bits of skin and tendons, which is like,
I just
what
imagine
the
them
fuck?
being like peasant shoes, where it's basically
Yeah.
just cloth wrapped around the foot and rope to tie
Yeah.
the cloth up, and they're like little bags.
It's kind of like insane to think about, I guess. But anyways, not totally illogical. They do also solve the food problem, which is they cut off chunks of T-Rex steak. And at one point, I think, is it Marco or Cassie? He's like, "Oh, and then we can smoke some
It's
for
Cassie.
jerky." It's like
It's Cassie,
It's
because
like,
Cassie's
dog.
like, all right, we're gonna like slice this up, we're gonna cook it, we're gonna smoke it, and we're gonna use the skin and tendons to make shoes. And everyone else is just like, what? We thought you loved animals. And she's like, yeah, we
And
also
then-
have to fucking survive, you idiots.
Also, anyone who's ever made or eaten jerky, it's like very obvious
It's-
that you can't do it
No,
in
you
an
don't-
hour
yeah.
or two.
But these
Yeah.
are 13-year-old kids who don't know any better, so.
You actually are, I am not embarrassed to tell you, you are listening right now to the speakings of a 100% certified smoke daddy. That's the title we get when we properly smoke our first sausage jerky. Yeah.
Okay, I can't tell if that's like a sex joke. Smoking, anyways.
No, I just
He masturbated
me,
so
me
hard
and my
his skin
family,
fell off his penis.
we make sausage at
Smoke
family
that.
gatherings and then smoke them and make like
Oh my
jerky.
God.
Yeah,
What the fuck, man? Where's my invite? Jesus, I thought we were besties.
Oh, dunk! I guess not. I've got an
there's-
invite. Hurt, dirt.
One other pretty
I don't
critical
have an
thing
invite.
is that they notice there's this giant asteroid headed towards Earth. And like, oh, it's so beautiful. I wonder what's going to happen. And nobody's like, wait, how do dinosaurs die again? Is it an asteroid? No, it couldn't be. Nobody even thinks about it. Anyways,
I mean,
the
but
next
Axe,
day.
Axe observes it, and he's like, according to my calculations, it's gonna just miss Earth.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's not
Axe
the
has never been wrong
asteroid.
before. The next day, they morph birds. They fly around. They actually see buildings, which is obviously insane. But they also see what it can only be described as crab people. And I've left an
Mora.
important note here that just says, "Tastes like crab, talk like people."
Look like crab, talk like people.
Exactly. And they find out pretty quickly also that so there's these pteranodons that are flying above, and they're kind of like, it's not described that well, I found, but they're kind of like forcing them down. So there's a
They're
giant
hunting them,
like
yeah.
essentially, yeah. So they're forcing them down, but then as they get pushed down, they hit this like invisible force field above the buildings. So it's like, oh fuck, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Right at this moment, they see
Ladies.
two Deinonychus, which is Tobias and Rachel, and they like jump over this cliff and they stop themselves from falling and grab pteranodons, blah blah blah. Essentially, they get saved, right? They're fine.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful reunion. Cassie as an
Yes.
osprey hugs Rachel as a Daninocaris, which is what Rachel calls that dinosaur.
Right. Then pretty soon after, the Macaroons, the crab people. What is it? It's not actually Macaroons.
Morcora.
The
They're called the
Macaroons
Morcora.
the crab people, they dematerialize their force fields. I like, they're not holograms. I don't understand.
What they do is
it's
first they set up a hologram saying, "Who are you? What are you people?" And then all the Animorphs are like, "We're safe. We're actually from the future. Our planet is." And Tobias says, "Don't tell them."
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "That's weird."
The crab people are basically like, we're just trying to live here forever because our planet got destroyed. Essentially,
yeah, they're farming.
Like,
they brought their favorite
means.
plant, broccoli, with them, and they're
which is also like quite stupid, because the idea that there is like a vegetable that looks the same millions of years ago that it does today. Even bananas had fucking seeds in them,
and also like
1,000 years
the
ago.
fact is, like, broccoli was bred from one kind. From what I remember off this infographic I saw on the internet, there was one kind of plant that humans like bred. Did our put our greasy little genetic modifications onto it and just forced plants to have sex until we came up with Brussels sprouts and broccoli and kale and cabbage and like
even
all
like,
of these different foods.
Carrots.
I noticed that Tobias didn't apologize for the broccoli misinformation at the end of the book.
No, he didn't.
Anyways.
He apologized for the dinosaurs. He didn't apologize. He was like, "Who are you going to believe? Some guys with old bones or me who was there?" And it's like, oh my god, Tobias, that was that was a douche move.
Carrots, as we know them, are actually a very recent human creation. It was actually in the 16th, I believe the 16th century. Carrots actually came in a variety of colors, including like purple, and orange was like... Yeah, I know. And orange was like a weird like mutation. But then like I think like somewhere in Europe, a house came into power, a family called House Orange, whose banner was orange. Their family name was Orange, or their banner was orange or something. So they decided to just like breed more orange carrots than the others in like solidarity.
This sounds like an answer for Live from the Gardens question.
It's 100% the real shit, just like I lived in Venezuela.
We're way off track. They find the Macaroons.
Yes, the next thing that happens after they find the crab people is that they essentially are like, look, we need to make another explosion, otherwise the Sario Rip will never be like reversed, right? Which is like, hey, guess what? Isn't that kind of what happened in the last time they Sario Ripped? Something happened.
It's not like it has to be like reversed. It's just closed. Like right now, there's a hole that's open, and they do another explosion
Tessa,
to close the hole.
Don't pretend
that's
like you
the
understand
science,
the science.
Miguel. That's the science, Miguel. I understand the science because I'm smart.
So they're like, well, where are we gonna get a bomb? And the crab people are like, look, the ant people have bombs. And they're like, well, I guess that's a pretty easy answer. So everybody, they're at one point they fight a T-Rex, and I don't remember why, but Jake gets eaten by them.
While they're like looking at the comet in the middle of the night, a T-Rex ambushes them and like eats Jake, and who morphs T-Rex and explodes out of his neck. And then as the T-Rex is dying, the rest of them acquire it. So Tobias and Rachel have Deinonychus, and everyone else has T-Rex.
Okay, the Nesk. So they steal the bomb. It's, it's a fight. There is a moment, we can talk about the OTP alert, but it's like Cassie gets lost in the T-Rex brain, and Jake has to demorph to be like, look, it's your boy Jake. And her brain is like, Jake? And she's got a mouthful of Stegosaurus or Triceratops or something.
And she freaks out because she's like covered in blood.
She's like, I came to save dinosaurs, not kill. It's like, no, you fucking didn't. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways. They steal the bomb from the Nesk, bring it back to the Macaroons, but obviously the Nesk are pissed off about this, so the
Nesk leave because as they're getting the bomb, they kind of like Axe says something in Thoughtspeak and an alarm goes off because the Mercora speak in Thoughtspeak, so they have a Thoughtspeak alarm. So 4 of them go to stomp on ships before the ships get in the air, while the other 2 go and grab nukes, and then they have a big battle and they're stomping on ships and stomping on ants, and then the Mercora come just in time to put a force field around Jake before he gets exploded. And the Nesk know that they have bombs, so they're just like, okay, peace, fuck away.
And then that is more, and that's a lot more. I just needed one piece of information. Hang on. Right, so they bring the bomb back to the crab people. The Nesk are leaving, but as they're leaving, they basically make it so that the comet doesn't miss Earth and heads right towards not just Earth. It heads right towards the crab people base, which is like kind of overkill,
The
right?
Nesk are like a regular bunch of Saltosauruses.
Because it's like you can't. I mean, you could have aimed it for within a fucking 3-mile radius of the base. It doesn't have to be right at the base. Anyways, Tobias secretly tells Axe, like, listen, give the Macaroons the bomb, let them use it to fight off the Nesk, or to blow up the comet,
this is like a decision that everyone makes, but secretly he tells him.
Right. So Tobias secretly tells Axe to give them a deactivated bomb. So they head up to the comet, and essentially nothing happens. The asteroid still has to hit. And Tobias is like, no, I have dinosaur wisdom. Which we didn't talk about, but like, Tobias is a fucking dino whiz.
Dino nerd.
Yeah, he knows everything. He knows names, he knows places, he knows like families, species, he knows all this shit, like, late Cretaceous and all this other shit. And he knows, although not that you'd need to know about dinosaurs really to know this, but the asteroid has to hit Earth so that humans can evolve and so on, and dinosaurs die out and whatever.
Because no one from modern day knows about the Mercora. Bum, bum, bum.
That's right. Although they live on in a French dessert known as the macaroon.
Yeah, because macaroons are made of crabs. Good one, Mikhail. Actually, the French dessert only has one O. It's called a macaron. The macaroon is the cookie that has coconut and chocolate in it.
The Earth blows up, basically. I think it said it was like a massive hole. It was like a 16-mile deep hole in the Earth or something like that.
Do they see the hole?
They describe it as miles deep, which is like pretty insane if you think about it. Naturally, the Sario Rip ends. The gang kind of like sucks out of their bodies, or maybe not, but like they just float over the Earth, ethereal like, and watch as the Earth goes.
Yeah, because instead of like instantly going back to their time, they like see everything happen, because of course that's more cinematic. It's
kind of like the end of Battlestar. Oh, maybe there's some spoilers for Battlestar, but at the end they watch the Earth fast forward to present day, and it's like, oh, now there's a commentary. Now we know more about the past, so we can commentate on it with more wisdom. Anyways, they get back. Jake is like, hey, I tried to morph a T-Rex and I don't have it anymore. The end. Nothing else good happens.
He and Cassie snoogle and look at the stars.
Nothing else good happens.
It's cute.
Okay. Well,
I got a boner.
Yeah. I don't know. Should we just talk about the OTP shit now? Because there is quite a bit of it.
OTP alert!
Yeah, there's a bunch. Marco and Axe kiss like 5 times.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, Axe puts his palms all over Marco's face, which, as we know from Dork-Bajir Chronicles, is an Andalite kiss.
I actually don't think that ever happened.
It's true.
No, I'm being dead serious.
It did happen.
Don't fucking talk about Marco like that. He can choose whoever he wants.
Yeah, and if he chooses Axe, I accept him for it.
Nobody would. He's an alien. It's not a smart choice.
Axe is pretty funny.
Marco knows
good
where
jokes
his
in this one. He has Axe has a good bit where he was like, I think this was some of this Marco's characteristic dry humor. As I have never heard wet humor. Yeah. I'm not really sure what it means. It's like, that Axe, is pretty good. You card.
That was pretty funny. I like that.
I like that, actually, yeah. There's the moment where Jake demorphs. We talked about that already. Whatever. It's very Jake and Cassie. I don't actually have a problem with that.
That was very good. That was very fun. That was a good moment.
I was a little annoyed when Cassie's like, I didn't want to hurt any animal. It's like, they're all going to die, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're all going to die.
Yeah, but she still didn't want to hurt him. Mikhail, if you woke up and you were eating a puppy, you would probably be upset.
Is she a vegetarian? Like, have we established that? Because if not, she's killing animals every day.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've
I'm just saying.
Plus, like, oh my god.
Canon.
Can you something they've never really talked about is, like, they straight up, like, bite and rip and kill all of these different things with their teeth all the time. And, like, that doesn't freak a bunch of human children out?
Yeah, imagine
they're-
if like they morph back and they've got Dork-Bajir flesh stuck in their teeth. How freaky would that be? That would be terrible.
I'm sure they've got PTSD. The thing is, like, how well can you describe that in a children's book? Like, shell shock is not something that kids understand. You know what I mean?
I mean, they talk about dismemberment.
Real
a lot,
PTSD is like debilitating. Like,
Yes.
oh, a dog barked at me and I couldn't leave the house. Like,
I mean,
that's
there's different
PTSD
levels
for
of
this
PTSD,
kind of thing.
but yeah, you're right. PTSD is no.
But I mean, of course there is, but I'm in real life. But I mean, in this case where they're turning into animals and murdering people like every weekend, I feel like a pretty high degree of PTSD in that case.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever get to see some of that. Maybe
Okay, anyways,
one day.
just to finish up the OTP.
OTP alert. Rachel Tobias is dead because Rachel
No!
acknowledges that Tobias is not human anymore.
Yeah, she says at one point, like, oh, morph into your human. He's like, well, I can't stay in my human forever. Eventually, I got to turn back into the hawk, and the hawk has a broken wing. She's like,
Yeah.
wouldn't be so bad to be human forever. And it's like, oh my god. True feelings
then-
revealed.
And then Rachel is encouraging him when he's stuck, quote unquote, in Deinonychus. She's like, wait, you're a human, remember? You're a human person. Come on, Tobias. And like nothing is happening. And then she's like, oh, right. Tobias, you're not a dinosaur. You're a hawk and you can fly. And he's like,
Remember flying? And he wakes
that
up.
worked. Yeah. He is clearly more invested in being a hawk and all the perks that come along with that than anything of being human.
Well, yeah,
I'm
and
not
Rachel is scared about him
saying-
falling into the hawk like he did in book 3. But also, she thinks it's better for him if he was a human full time. Even though
Yes.
that's not true. Rachel wants Tobias to be human all the time because she thinks it would be better for his mental health. But as a hawk, at least he has a home and he has somewhere to go. And Tobias is more of a realist and knows that even though it's shitty, he has to stay as a hawk. Also, if he morphs human, he'd be out of the war. And Rachel doesn't think about that. She just thinks about Tobias being better off because he'd
That's
be
what
happier.
people keep saying, but it's like you could still do shit as like a person if you also knew that there was an evil alien threat on Earth. Like,
Yeah, but he not
you
as
could
Also,
still
much.
distract.
Like,
You
real
could still
talk,
act as a distraction.
Tobias could live in the fucking woods. If nobody is seeing Axe, Tobias could live in the fucking
He could live in the
Yeah.
woods, yeah, but it would be more difficult for him to find food as a human and to get that food as a human than as a hawk. As a hawk, he can just hunt little animals.
But it's
as
not
a
like
human.
people can't buy him groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Instead
that's
of groceries.
suspicious because all of these kids are 13 years old and they barely get allowances.
I
It's
can't believe you're
suspicious when they
arguing
go
that
over
it
to
makes
each other's houses.
it's easier for him to be a hawk than be a human.
Yes,
in a world
100%.
That is not accurate at all.
100%. Also, Tobias is the kind of guy, he doesn't like depending on people. Like, he had a problem in book 3, depending on Jake sleeping in the attic and eating the leftover hamburger that he put for
Yeah,
him.
and that was his character arc. By the end of the book, that was fixed.
No, at the end of the book, he still didn't like depending on other people. He just learned how to take care of himself as a hawk.
Well, Brayden, back me up here, but like, is swallowing your pride more important than worrying about if you're going to get killed every night by an owl?
I'm not saying it's smart.
Not
I'm
getting
just saying
killed.
this is why he makes the choices he did. That's
What
what
I'm
makes
saying
sense
is,
to him.
he could be a human and swallow his pride and have people buy groceries for him, and in exchange, he can be like pretty certain he's going to stay alive every night.
I mean, but
You know what I
also
mean?
he's out of the fight. He's their eye in the sky as a hawk. He can do a bunch of surveillance while they're all stuck in school. As a human,
Maybe he gets
gets
a drone. Get a
They
drone.
didn't have drones in the 90s.
Fuck, that's true.
They had
Anyways, I
nothing.
still think
Also,
If it was
Axe
modern
could just
day, he
morph
could
a
at
bird
least
and
go on the
fly
internet.
around while they were in
Yeah,
school.
but Axe is
I
like
know.
has to spend all of his day eating shitty earth grass.
yeah, that's true. Also practicing driftball.
Also, practicing driftball. Like that.
Anyways, to sum up, I still think that Rachel is like trying to fix Tobias.
100%. But I
That's
still
my
love their
opinion
love
on it.
story because it's tragic and like they fit together really well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll probably never agree on it, but I am right.
Oh, probably not. But I'm okay with disagreeing, Mikhail.
Marco Rachel is the OT.
It's not very strong in
Pianist?
this book. Like,
Yeah.
he does say that she's beautiful, but he also says that she's crazy. And because they don't spend a lot of time together for most of the book, it's like...
At
Yeah.
one point, she puts her hand on his shoulder and then she like grips his shoulder, and it's like she doesn't do that for the other guys.
Yeah.
Not even Jake, who she should be the most like, I mean, I don't mean in a gross way, but most like physically intimate as her cousin, right?
We're cousins. We can wrestle.
Oh my God, Brayden! I specifically said not in a gross way.
What I said wasn't gross. I wrestle with my cousins all the time.
Mikhail, but like I'm not intimate.
Shirts
with
versus
any of my
skins
cousins.
wrestling.
You know the word intimate does not mean fuck. P and
I
V.
know. I also know that I'm just not intimate with any of my cousins.
Well, that's a sadder, more distant, unrelated story.
Like they're married. We don't have that kind of relationship.
Want to hear a cool fact? So
Cool
at one
fact.
point, Axe is like, oh, my timekeeping abilities are all thrown off because the planet is not the same. Like the sun pattern is not the same. And the truth, I looked it up, and the truth is, he would be right. So in the late Cretaceous, I couldn't find an exact number. I'm sure I could have calculated it somehow, but the days were probably like 21 to 23 hours long.
Oh
roughly.
my God.
But here's an even cooler fact. So you know how like the moon, we didn't always have the moon. The moon.
Yep. The moon
came
was a
after the
gift from God.
Okay, Brayden, you know how the moon didn't always
He
have the
took
moon?
the ark from Noah and put it in the sky.
It was
and that's
space
why-
junk
It's just space
that
junk.
like, or maybe it like broke off the Earth. There's theories, but the point is, the idea would be that when the moon was formed, or when it first appeared, Earth days would have been 2 to 3 hours long.
Just spinning around.
Yeah, wildly fast.
Wow.
So the moon slowed us way down. And in fact, if I read it right, the Earth or the moon is actually moving away from the Earth at about a rate of, I believe it's, oh fuck, I'm going to get this wrong. It's like
It's like 3
0.5
inches.
millimeters every century
Oh man.
or something. Or maybe
Dumb.
0.5. It's a
Well, yeah, 'cause
really,
it's like-
really tiny amount.
Because like the Earth is also incrementally getting closer towards the sun, so like eventually
didn't
will
look
burn
that
up. But yeah,
I don't
like
think
because
that's
Earth's
right.
orbit is kind of elliptical, so every like
It's
it
very
takes
elliptical.
like hundreds and thousands of years, but we're spiraling closer and closer to the sun, so that eventually the Earth is going to burn away.
So then days will be 1 second.
It will be 1 second. If anything, the moon did us a favor by slowing us down so that we don't get burned up so fast. We have more time to be with our loved one. All right, creepier alien, Nesker Mercora.
The Nesker are creepier. The crab people are just more annoying to think about.
They're really annoying to think about. They got asymmetrical
I
legs
actually
and
really
like
enjoyed
arms and hands on one side and eyes.
But they have
on
two
the
hands. They have two hands on one
just coming
side.
out the side of
It's
them.
not that hard to think of, guys. It's actually really cool to see, like, a species that isn't just, like, it walks on 2 legs or 4 legs or has a lot of tentacles. It's
I
like,
will say, Catherine and Michael went out of their way to make aliens that were difficult to like
picture.
just
yeah.
put a person in makeup and make it look like that. Like they wanted to make really different aliens, which
They
kind
wanted
of fucked them
every
over for the
kid
live action TV show. But
to
it
have,
is
like,
really
a
cool.
different picture.
Yeah.
They wanted
Yeah.
every kid to have a different mental picture of these critters so that everybody had their unique experience. And I really appreciate that.
The description of the Nesk kind of swarming out of the columns and ground was pretty terrifying.
Oh, I remember that's why the
Yeah.
Nesk ran away. They destroyed the big termite mound that was their
Yeah.
queen.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
they
no, that was
assumed the
horrifying.
queen was in there. Yeah.
And like the idea that there's these columns around them, and as the dinosaurs are stomping around before the Nesk figure out the dinosaurs are the Animorphs, they're just like swerving super fast away from their feet to not get stomped. Like, ugh.
Yeah, the whole thing felt a
Gross.
little. Honestly, when they first saw, they were like, buildings? Why are there buildings here? And they cut away to some other person's chapter. It was like, oh god, like it couldn't just be about dinosaurs, could it?
I mean,
You
they
had
didn't have
to
big
shove
They had to have
aliens
some
in.
other kind of aliens. Okay,
I
they're
thought that
totally
was
made-
really cool. I think that's it plays up my theory even more that there are some definite Lovecraftian influences behind Animorphs.
Tessa, grab your pillow. It's the Lovecraft hour.
ooh,
right,
Lovecraft,
Higgy.
baby.
What the fuck does that mean?
Lovecraft, baby,
Because
Lovecraft.
We totally tune out because we don't
baby,
understand anything you're
Well,
talking about.
okay,
but
well,
I appreciate that
explain
you
what's
talk about
going
it.
on.
But it's so many proper nouns. It's just like I can't follow it.
Hello, everyone, and
Well,
welcome to
basically-
another Braden
oh,
Lovecraft moment. Sit down,
relax and listen to Brayden drone on and on about things we don't understand. Be sure to tune out for 20 minutes and then wake up.
Holy fucking dropping mad shade over here. I was kidding. I
Who's
was
the
ready
true
for a quick...
Saltosaurus Rex here? Anyway, so yeah, in Lovecraft's work, there's a couple of different species of aliens that are implied to have come to Earth, created or competed with humans for some time, and then either left or went to sleep somehow, or among them, one of my personal favorites are the flying polyps that are just like weird, long, empty sacs that look like plants, that like fly around and make a weird, like, wind-sucking breeze noise. And it's just like, what the fuck? These things were a living, like, civilized species? How? How? Fucking how? The idea that these guys built, like, cities and towers is mind-boggling to me. And they reminded me a lot of the Nesk. The Nesk reminded me of the flying polyps.
Okay, but speaking of the Nesk, did you ever think they came back to Earth? Their ships were pyramid-shaped. Dun, dun. Also, can I just say,
oh god.
So the Nesk are made up of a bunch of ants, so of course a lot of people hate them if they're fans of Animorphs. You guys know Full Metal Alchemist, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know...
The live-action movie? It was so good.
It was really good. I talked about it at Wang Talk Radio on collectivelegacy.org. Check out about it.
I assumed you hated it because it's live-action anime. I haven't seen it either.
No, they have these wonderfully terrible wigs, but I love FMA, so I love everything about it. No, so do you guys know if I reference Edward? Do you know what that is?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like ants are the Animorphs version of that. You know what I mean?
Ants, the Woody Allen movie?
No, like ants.
Oh.
Wait, Woody Allen made ants? What?
He starred in ants.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he's in Ants, dog. I think he wrote it too, didn't he?
Oh my god, no wonder that main character of Ants wanted to, like, marry his daughter. It makes so much sense now.
Okay.
Adopted daughter.
Fuck off, okay. Let's not dive into that.
But yeah, like, everybody hates ants. And it's just, like, a very visceral reaction, just like that.
It came out at the same time as A Bug's Life. Fucking, it's like, no question.
No, but Kate, the movie Ants was actually because a bunch of people got fired from Disney Pixar, so they left and joined DreamWorks, and that's why they made a bunch of movies that were very similar around the same time, like Ants.
Is that actually true? And there's
a couple other ones. Yeah, this is true. This is a thing I heard from a YouTuber who does, like, movie reviews and talked about, like, old movie drama.
Well, my uncle works at Pixar, and he says it's not true.
Oh. Well, my dad works at TELUS, and he says it is true.
Wait a minute.
And we know that
my
TELUS
uncle
owns
works
Pixar.
at Pixar and says that's true.
Cousin Brayden? Is that you?
Yeah. I guess so.
In a New York minute.
Intimacy. That's why we hug for so long. Anyways, confirmed Andalites can swim. That was an important moment for me. Because at one point, Axe is like, I have no problem navigating these waters. And also it's just like, well, that's hard to picture. Fucking centaur
horses
body.
can swim, so that makes sense.
Not well, though.
Have you seen a horse swim? It's graceful as fuck.
Have you seen a horse swim, though?
Have you seen a horse swim?
Have you seen
I'll never be able to get higher.
Have you seen a horse swim? No, but actually, hippocampus. What if Axe just, like, was a hippocampus instead of a centaur?
You mean
he just had,
like the part of a brain?
No, like a hippocampus is like, you know, a hippogriff? Hippocampus is a horse front and a dolphin back.
Why is it called a hippocampus?
I don't know, because it likes to hump. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be a hippohalphin? All right, that was terrible. Anyways, is it late? It feels late.
I think we're all drunk on humor.
And
dinosaurs.
I'm
not drunk enough yet.
I'm drunk on
dinosaur DNA.
Yeah. I don't really have any more notes. I I don't think you guys don't have any more notes on
Not
here
really.
either. So
It's just like, I don't know. I don't really like the books. Like, this is a fine book, but I don't really like the ones where they don't interact with the Yeerks much.
yeah, because it
like-
sort of feels
Yeah.
pointless.
Because it
It's
feels
like-
pointless, and they
Sario
just like
Rip is
come up with
awful.
some other alien to be like, oh, it's still a sci-fi alien book, and it's like, hey, I'd rather just watch them try to have a normal day than this bullshit.
Well, I
You
feel
know?
like Braden, you would agree with me on this too, but it's like,
Yes.
wouldn't have this been better if it was like a gritty survive the dinosaur thing?
Oh, yeah,
and the Sario,
like a fucking-
and the Sario Rip gets reversed when the asteroid hits, because it was gonna hit anyways, because that's how fucking time works. So like, why not?
They had
just
like
have
a
this
time
insanely-
limit.
Yeah, like basically the idea is like survive until the asteroid hits, and then
Yeah,
I want to
that would've
see
been
all the
way
crazy
cooler.
shit that happens until that point, right? Instead of them essentially, like, because in a way this is like they are God, they created humans, sort of indirectly. Do you know what I mean?
Dip! I didn't even think of that.
Because without them, there would be no humans, I guess. Apparently, right?
So like,
'Cause the nest wouldn't have
man,
left.
the elements doesn't even matter.
That's a tagline for my new religion.
Wow.
All right, Brayden, fuck this. What are your predictions for Animorphs number 19, The Departure? The tagline is, there's always room for a little change, ... Cassie is
Always
morphing
the 4 dots.
into a butterfly. It's got like the yellow cover.
It's a
What do you
really
think?
pretty butterfly also.
It actually is a nice cover. A lot of the covers look hideous. This one's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's because
it's pretty.
Cassie has like the best morphing talent out of all of them.
The Departure.
Sure.
It's a butterfly. I
What-
want to guess it has something to do. God, I want to say Cassie goes through some personal crisis involving possibly even like considering moving away, like departing from whatever town they're in, or maybe maybe even the planet. Maybe like the Elemist comes in and gives them another chance to scoot out. But I'm just gonna guess that like Cassie just sort of wobbles through this one again and is like, oh guys, we should save all these animals. Oh gosh, are we not saving all the animals? Okay, I guess. And like the Departure refers to maybe a butterfly migration.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And they all fly out through like Lake Ontario, the Great Lake, or Lake Superior, and then they make a sharp right turn for a couple miles, and then they continue flying south. And it
Yeah.
confuses researchers everywhere until they look back in time and see that there used to be a mountain in the middle of the lake. And the
They don't
butterfly
look-
DNA remembers flying around that mountain. This is a true fact about monarch butterflies.
I feel
Yeah.
like there were better ways
Fact.
to say that.
Okay. Next week, in our bi-weekly episode of Live from the Gardens, we'll be talking about dinos with our buddy Scotty Potter, star of Thagamizers. Watch
The
it,
fucking
listen to
dude
it, read it.
of Thagamizers. The
He knows a lot about
Lord and
dinosaurs.
Savior.
For the first time ever, I will not be hosting Live from the Gardens. Scotty will be hosting it, and he actually knows what he's talking about.
Actually knows
And-
dinosaur facts. I'm
Yes,
very
so
excited for this.
we can ask questions and get real answers. I'm very much looking forward to it, especially because I can't even remember the names of the dinosaurs from this one. Anyways, like I mentioned before, the week after that we'll be talking about number 19, The Departure, the Cassie book with the butterfly.
And you can find more of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org. We've also got some cool podcasts on there. Check it out. I'm going to be appearing on a Wank Talk Radio, or I've already appeared.
Oh,
It depends
yes.
on when you're listening to this. Are you listening to this episode in the Time of Dinosaurs? You shouldn't be. That's stupid.
fucking
But we've
weird.
also got like a Twitter, a
Yeah.
Tumblr, an Instagram, and a Facebook. We post a bunch of memes. Check us out.
Okay, listen, motherfuckers. You know all those social media shits that Tessa just mentioned and Mikhail just mentioned? You better go to them. You better like them. You better fucking subscribe to them. You better follow them. And if you don't, I'm gonna find you. And I'm gonna just knife your genitals.
And then he's gonna
Vaginas,
suck you off.
penises, other, just knife. There. And finally, after you are done being knifed in the genitals by me,
Yep.
please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, on anywhere fine podcasts are found. I love you, and I don't want to be hurt again.
Oh. For the Phantomorphs, I'm sad. No, my name is Mikhail, the host.
And I'm Tessa, the expert.
I'm Braden. I just want y'all to know, like, you're good. You're a good person. No matter what you did, you know what you did.
What'd you do? And this has been Phantomorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. If you're looking for more Phantomorphs content, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for Phantomorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. Are you tired of sitting in silence, staring at walls?
Do your ears yearn for something more than the sound of your life passing you by?
Try Inadmissible, a podcast designed by a leading team of experts in the field of excitementology and non-boringness.
On Inadmissible, you'll hear Quinn and Mikhail, two of our bleeding-edge analysts, break down and rebuild the worst ads you've ever had the misfortune to experience.
Listen in as they tear apart lackluster emotional tactics.
Gather around as they explain why you shouldn't make your product look like a steaming pile of garbage.
Poop jokes.
All this and more on Inadmissible, a podcast about terrible advertising. For more details, visit collectivelegacy.org.
Inadmissible should not be consumed if you are easily offended or your tolerance for immaturity is lower than that of a 6-year-old child. Inadmissible may cause fits of laughter so intense your lungs may suffer from burst blood vessels. Consult your doctor before listening to Inadmissible.
Inadmissible, a podcast about terrible ads. Brought to you by
Collective Legacy.
a podcast network.